a New Year's resolution for every single MLB team. Should I start with the AL East?
So here's what we're going to do. Each of us took a geographic region. So Peter's got the East. I've got the Central. Arm's got the West. We do AL and NL. So front part will be Peter and we react. Middle part will be me and you guys react. And then back part will be Aram and Peter and I will react. So yeah, go ahead and start with the AL East. It's quick, like one sentence maximum. Usually it's 3 to 4 words, just describing what each team should make their main New Year's resolution for this coming year. So Peter, get us rolling, man.
Perfect. We'll start with the New York Yankees, and their New Year's resolution is no more excuses. So, Yankees, you got Aaron Judge, you got Carlos Rodon, you are projected second by WAR by Fangraphs. The Mets are number 1, and you are number 2.
Damn.
You've made it to the ALCS now. You know, the excuse is we just can't get by the Astros. We can't get by the Astros. But the Astros, they lost Justin Verlander, and you added Carlos Rodon. So you shorten the gap there. You got your big superstar. You are projected to be the favorite coming out of the American League. So it's kind of World Series or bust. But I don't want to hear any excuses this year from the Yankees. Bullpen looks good. Everything looks as good as it's been. I know they still haven't addressed left field yet, but around the diamond, it's about as good as you can get. No more excuses, New York Yankees. None.
Fair. I like it.
Thoughts?
I'm with you. Also, excuses, which it's like a multi-level thing too, right? Generally speaking, like it's been a long time since the Yankees have really put it together to the level that their standard is, right? We haven't seen them in the World Series since 2009. If I'm not mistaken. But also, how about all the little excuses that Aaron Boone was making? The roof being open killed us, this and that. Like, I don't want to hear that, and I think Boone is well liked in the clubhouse, and I think he's just trying to go out there and kind of take the first round of bullets for his guys. But we need more accountability, I think, there across that team, because the last thing that Yankees fans want to hear, this is one of the few times I think I could speak for Yankees fans. They don't want to hear shit about the roof, man. Like, you guys lost the game. They want to hear why you lost the game and accountability, not the roof being open, killing us. So I think it's a multi-level, no excuses thing there that I like.
And one thing too, like Brian Cashman, he comes out and he says like Aaron Hicks looks great in left field and rehab and Donaldson and IKF. Okay, then don't make excuses later on in the season when you're saying that moving into it, when they don't perform.
Don't act shocked when they don't perform.
Exactly. You're all right. These are the guys. Okay. Then don't make any excuses when they inevitably suck. But we'll see. Jack, anything last before I move on to the Red Sox?
No, I mean, the Yankees have a great chance to make New York the Mecca of baseball. And, we talk about Madison Square Garden as the Mecca, right? But the Knicks are not, like I'd much rather turn on a Memphis Grizzlies game. I'd much rather turn on 15 other teams over the Knicks. I think with what the Mets have done, and with the lack of moves from the LA Dodgers, I think that the Yankees have this great opportunity to focus every baseball fan's eyes on New York City, because you could have the 2 best teams in baseball, like we saw for a month this past season, in New York City. And that's a really unique opportunity.
Don't drag my 18-17 Knicks 7th seed right now into this.
I love Jalen Brunson, man. I love watching Brunson.
It's good. Julius
Really
Randle
good.
thinks he's Klay Thompson. Sometimes he scores, but he's actually, let's move on. Boston Red Sox, New Year's resolution, lower ticket prices. Boston Red Sox, I think they're going to finish last. I'm on record saying that. I think they only got worse from last year. And John Henry, Heim Bloom, they made these little moves here and there to like appear competitive with Kenley Jansen, with Justin Turner. But you lose JD Martinez, who's been one of the best hitters for you for the past half decade. I know last year he wasn't really that great, but when he signed with the Dodgers, I know in the back of every Red Sox fan's mind, they said, well, he's going to be back. And of course he's going to be back because he's one of the hardest workers.
they're just not going to plug in a 790 OPS guy. Like the at bats are not going to someone that's going to put up, I think, even that. So it's still a loss.
And then how about plugging in Xander Bogaerts' is almost 900 OPS? Like, we're relying on Brian Bayo to take a huge step forward, and maybe he would, but I think history and the fact that he's still a really young pitcher would say that he might just be a couple years away, but we do think he's going to be a good pitcher. Will Chris Sale be healthy? What's going to happen with Nick Pivetta? Garrett Whitlock? A lot of Red Sox fans are excited to see him in the rotation, but then you remove him from the bullpen where he was so good. So overall, the rotation doesn't scream anything. The bullpen is fine. And then the offense is fine. I have them worse than the Orioles because while the Orioles haven't really done anything, I'll get to them in a minute. I still think that they were better last year and they either got a little bit better adding Grayson Rodriguez to the fold and you have a full season of Gunnar, full season of Adley. So if I'm John Henry and Chaim Bloom, I'm doing a favor to the fans because you didn't do them a favor by signing or adding anyone. Lower the ticket prices. Yeah. At least make it fun to go to Fenway. Have them get a beer 12 to get through the game.
We'll give you a worse product and you're going to pay more for it. Sounds good.
Anything else, Jack?
I don't think so. The Red Sox stink.
Yep. All right. Tampa Bay Rays. Please stay healthy. So the Rays last year were pillaged by injury. We saw the bullpen completely fall apart. We saw Wander Franco play less than 100 games. We saw Brandon Lau. A lot of the guys, Manny Margot, outfielders, like the whole team, while it did perform well over the full season because it's the Rays, a lot of their team got hurt. We saw Tyler Glasnow come back at the end of the season. But guys, on paper right now, the Rays look loaded. They're number, what are they right now in projected WAR by Fangraphs? They are 5th. It's the Mets, the Yankees, the Padres, the Braves, then the Tampa Bay Rays. Like Christian Bethancourt has a projected 2.2 WAR. Like we'll see, but they also have Mejia. Jonathan Aranda is a prospect Arm really likes, but they have Yandy Diaz, who was incredible last year. Harold Ramirez, Isaac Paredes, Brandon Lau, like I said, Wander Franco, Randy Arozarena, Manny Margot, Josh Lowe. They have really good players. And then when you look at the rotation, it's incredible. I mean, it's just Shane McClanahan, Drew Rasmussen, Tyler Glasnow, Jeffrey Springs. It's hard to find a better 4. And then we can talk all day about the bullpen. If this team stays healthy, they're one of the best teams in baseball. If they stay healthy.
Yeah. So in 2022, it was McClanahan than everybody else. And Rasmussen took this crazy step up. But we were deprived of the McClanahan breakout coupled with Glasnow. And we were deprived of the McClanahan breakout coupled with Boz. We're not getting Boz. So now hopefully we get this 3-headed monster at the top of McClanahan, Glasnow, and Rasmussen with Boz continuing to get healthy. And that, when we get to the postseason, if Shane Boz is around for postseason baseball, much like Tyler Glasnow was this past year, I mean, that is a scary, scary postseason 4. And I think Tampa has a chance to pounce, assuming health.
They're going to add 80 games of Wander Franco, which is fantastic, right? They're going to add a full season basically of Tyler Glasnow. They're going to add another 60 something games of Manny Margot, who was playing at a really high level before getting banged up last year. Jose Siri was playing well for them after they added him at the back end. So they'll get a full season of him. Brandon Lau, they're going to get 100 more games of. So like, this is a team that's going to just add a bunch of dudes back if they're just healthy. So that's why I love the stay healthy thing. And then a lot of their top relievers, or at least a lot of their relevant relievers, were hurt last year. So I think they're going to return some of those guys as well. And I think this team, again, if they stay healthy, they're making a threat for that top spot in the AL East too. I think they're right up there with any other team in baseball if they're right and if Wander can take that leap.
Yeah. So and I was looking at Fangraphs projected WAR, and there's obviously like they're projecting 5.2 WAR for Wander Franco, which is it's a bit excessive, but at the same time, it's Wander Franco. Like we all think he could be a 5 to 7 WAR player, and why not next year if he stays healthy? So it's ambitious in their projections, but you look at the roster and you think to yourself, they could do it. Like this team is good enough to get there. All right, let's move on to the Baltimore Orioles. My New Year's resolution for the Orioles is pick up the damn phone. And the reason why I'm telling you to pick up the damn phone is your offense looks great. They're projected, I think, 11th in WAR, and you get a full season from Gunnar, full season from Adley, like I said. But the rotation still needs work. Like, Johnny Cueto is still available. That's a guy who you can add right now. You can call up Johnny Cueto's agent and say, let's plug him in. He'll get you outs. You could call up the Miami Marlins and say, we'll take any of the pitchers. You could call up a lot of different teams looking for pitching. Mike Elias, and you guys talked about on the episode, I think one of the most disappointing off seasons because of the rhetoric that came out of their camp. If they didn't say anything at the beginning, we wouldn't have gone in with expectations. But Orioles fans and us came in with these expectations, and they've done basically everything else except get players for their team. So pick up the phone, go get some pitchers, because if you add a big-time pitcher, let's say they add a Pablo Lopez and a Johnny Cueto, I think they can compete with the Blue Jays, right? Pick up the damn phone, Orioles.
Yeah, Michael Wacha, that's another one. The advanced analytics don't look great, but you're going to put him in a much better part to pitch in. So I think that could offset some of that a little bit in terms of the underlying numbers. And yeah, I mean, they've got so many dudes that it seems like a no-brainer to make the trade. I just went on Locked On Orioles to talk about it with Connor Newcomb. Like, it seems like it should have been done already. So the Orioles, they're a couple moves away from being competitive in 2023. We know the future looks bright, but yeah, I was shocked that we did not see more from them. And, we spent a whole episode breaking that down. So I agree. Pick up the freaking phone, Mike Elias.
Can I pitch you on a 2-for-1 deal, one prospect for two pitchers?
Sure.
Do it.
Send a DSL guy to the Nats for Patrick Corbin and Yohan Adon.
Are we trying to help these teams, or are we just trying to crush them?
Are you in?
No.
Doesn't sound like you guys are in. All right, moving on.
All right, we'll move on to the Toronto Blue Jays. Their New Year's resolution is this is the Jose Barrios year. And the reason why I say that is I'm not projecting Barrios to be this amazing pitcher. I don't know what we're going to get. But what we got in 2021 was, or 2022, excuse me, was the most disappointing player, I think, in all of Major League Baseball. And we know that the offense is going to hit. We know that the bullpen is at least above average. We know Manoah is going to be good. We know Gosman's going to be good. And we assume that Chris Bassett will be solid. But I think if Jose Barrios can deliver what he did with the Twins, we could see this team going and competing for a World Series. Yeah. But I think if Jose Barrios looks like Jose Barrios of last year, this team finishes third, makes the playoffs, and doesn't make any noise. I think he's that pivotal. Like, obviously, George Springer's health is really, really important. But we just know that lineup is going to hit. We assume we're even going to get more from Vladdy than we did last year. Bo Bichette had a really slow start to the year. They get Dalton Varsho. They have a full season of Whit Merrifield. There's a lot of really good pieces there. Full season, again, of Alejandro Kirk. There's a lot of good pieces here. And they might just hit their way. And even if Barrios is bad, they might just be so good that it doesn't matter. Bassett's even better. But I assume we might see a little regression from Bassett. I think it's possible. Maybe a little regression from Manoah. Not a lot, but some, because he was unbelievable. If Jose Barrios can go back to what we saw in the Twins, this team could be incredible. If he's bad again, this is a first-round exit.
They made the postseason in spite of Jose Barrios last year. Mm-hmm. So if they get help from a guy that's super talented, the league is their oyster. Right, especially with this upgrade with Varsho in the outfield, and you already, you almost clear up some traffic and you clear up some headspace for Kirk and Danny Jansen with Gabby Moreno out of the picture now, right? So I think that this offense is so solidified, and I'm not sure if they got better actually, because you lose Gurriel and you lose Teoscar Hernandez, but you add a guy like Varsho. I think the lineup got better. I'm not sure if the offense got better. Does that make sense? Like, I think Varsho offers some defensive versatility here. I think the position playing core got better.
Yeah, like you're talking about, they might have a higher WAR 1 through 9.
Higher WAR, lower WRC plus.
Straight hitting bombs, less. I see what you're saying.
Less. Yes. Higher WAR, lower
Which is what they
WRC
needed,
plus.
honestly.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a higher WAR than WRC plus. If I'm going to improve in one, it would be in the F4 department. So I think that they got better. And if Jose Barrios is not the third worst qualified starting pitcher in baseball this year, I think things are going to go really well for them.
The Jose Barrios year.
Cool.
100%.
All right, should I move on to the NL East, or do you want to go AL Central now?
I can go AL Central just to break it up a little bit. Does that make sense?
Let's do it.
Okay.
And then Arm will go AL West.
All right. I'll start with the Guardians, and the Guardians' New Year's resolution should just be to hit more homers. 127 team homers was the second fewest in Major League Baseball, only ahead of Detroit. But they've since added Josh Bell on a 2-year deal. They added Mike Zunino. They get a full year of Bo Naylor, and George Valera and Yankensi Noel should both make their Major League debuts relatively early this year. They add power to a power-starved lineup. I think that's the only ingredient missing from Cleveland being a legitimate contender in Major League Baseball.
I agree. I think we saw that in the playoffs too, where the offense just kind of came back to bite them. Because when you're facing the best pitchers in the world, you need some guys in your lineup that can add a run on one swing. When you have to continue to piece together hits against some of the best pitchers in the world, it gets increasingly harder as you move into the playoffs. We saw that against the Yankees. They edged it out against the Rays. But I mean, what was there, 8 runs scored in 3 or 4 games in the entire series? So I agree. They need to hit some more bombs, even though their identity is to get on base. But to make it farther in the playoffs, they need to hit for power.
Did they win both of those wild card games? Because they swept them across 2 wild card games. Did they win both of them 1-0?
Something like that. Yeah.
It might have been 2-1 in game 1, but I do know that it was a solo home run from Jose Ramirez. And then in that 1-0 game, it took until the 15th, and they got a solo home run from Oscar Gonzalez. Like, there was no stringing together pace hits in the postseason. So instead of having to rely on 2 of the 9, now you can bank on 5 of the 9, putting up 20 homer type seasons.
Yep, I agree.
So, all right. Next one is the White Sox. Have some courage. And to that, I say, I'm going, I think, a different way than you guys are expecting me to. Because I can't sit here and promise you that Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez are going to be healthy, or Yohan Moncada is going to bounce back, or Tim Anderson is going to be healthy. What I can say is the biggest fault on the White Sox 2022 season was what they did not do at the trade deadline, because they had the division there for them to grab. It was a terrible division, and yet with as bad of a year as they were having, they still were within like 3-4 games. And what was their big trade deadline move? It was Reese McGuire for Jake Diekman with the Boston Red Sox. Like, what a joke. What a lack of urgency, and what a lack of gonads, of testicular fortitude. So I need to see some testicular fortitude from the White Sox. That's why they need to show some courage.
I mean, I was floored by the fact that Andrew Benintendi's deal is the largest free agent deal they've given, but there's some fortitude, right? I mean, it's the largest deal they've given out in terms of free agency. I think he helps. For me, the biggest key is health, right? With the White Sox, if it wasn't the Rays, the White Sox were the most banged up team. If they have that health there, I think we'll see a little bit more urgency from them at the deadline. But I mean, you had just too many players banged up throughout the year for them, I think, to feel confident enough to go for it, even though the division was wide open.
Jack, they couldn't give $18 million to Gene Segura.
I mean,
17 million priced them out.
No, it didn't price them out. Honestly, like I kind of liked it. They refrained from doing it.
Why? He makes them immediately better. And it's
but like
Romy Gonzalez.
Maybe Lenine Sosa.
What?
I don't know. I get it. Like, it's just not the White Sox way to spend 75 on one guy and then 17 on another. Like, that's just not what they do.
That's a lot. You're right. I should be nicer. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Almost 100 million.
They've got a sweet pregame light show, though. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to go 79 and 84.
Oh, all right. The Twins' New Year's resolution should be not to lead the league in strikeouts. And I think it's going to be an uphill battle. Byron Buxton had a 31% K rate this past year. And what do you do to that lineup that is boom or bust? You add Joey Gallo, you add Matt Wallner, I mean, you have to hedge those guys with Luis Ariz and Gilberto Celestino.
Well, if they trade Luis Ariz, I'd put my life savings on them leading the league in strikeouts.
Correct. Gallo, Wallner, and whoever the fuck else in that lineup, if they trade Luis Ariz, I mean, that's going to be K-City. It's going to be, I think it might be an unbearable product offensively some nights. And I hope that for the sake of Twins fans, they make it more bearable a teensy bit each night.
Yeah, they might be the first team to only have 3 true outcomes every single AB.
Yeah, no other outcome once.
No other outcome one time.
If Ariz is off the roster, that's the case.
Exactly.
So that's that. All right, next one for the Tigers. Don't let Torque and Green get down on themselves. And Aram and I actually just talked about it a teensy bit on the call-up that's coming out today. We redrafted the 2019 MLB draft, which was a fun exercise. So go listen to that on the call-up. We did the first 30 picks. But, we were talking about it, like all the Tigers' notable hitters, both in minor league baseball and in Major League Baseball, that had down years. And you look at Torque, who stunk to the point of getting demoted in his debut season. Riley Green had like an OPS right around 600 in his debut season. And then you look at Dylan Dingler at the AA level and Gage Workman at the high A level. Like it was all really bad. Ryan Kreidler at the AA and AAA level. So new regime in the front office. Hopefully they're scrubbing this thing clean and starting again from scratch. And I mean, dude, if Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson have another really rough year because there's zero protection, I mean, you're starting to alter the way you look at these guys in their major league career. So I think this is really make or break for Torque and Green.
I think what says the most is that.
Yeah, Aram, what do you think? What do you think we're going to see from these two guys this year?
I think they're going to bounce. I specifically Riley Green, I think really bounces back. I think Torque too. But I really believe that the organization was not doing a good job top to bottom in terms of hitting philosophy, and just even talking to some guys within the organization. They felt very stranded. They didn't feel like there was much to work with in the previous regime. And I think it's ironic that the only guy that absolutely mashed last year in that entire system was Kerry Carpenter, who went outside for hitting instruction, went outside of the org and did his own thing with a different hitting instructor and totally overhauled his swing. And he was the one breakout, offensive guy really in that system. Don't think it's a coincidence.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is so damning.
Yep.
That is
Scott
so
Harris,
damning to the Tigers.
I do like that they've got the new regime here. I do think that they're going to get them right.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Then the last one in the AL Central is Kansas City. And I was thinking about wording this in a much more sharp and mean way, but I'm going to be a little nice about this. Find a second serviceable starter. You've got Brady Singer. What's next? Jordan Lyles on that 2-year deal. Is Lyles going to be the guy for this young lineup to complement that? How about Ryan Yarbrough, who you just picked up after he got DFA'd? Is Brad Keller going to be good? Is Daniel Lynch going to be good? How about Bubich? How about Jackson Kowar, who had like a 7 ERA in AAA this past year? I mean,
Peter's
it's just
so overs right now, and he's closing his eyes and just envisioning all of the overs he's going to.
Yes,
because they're going to hit.
They're going to
all
hit.
The numbers and formulas fly by. Dude, I mean, I think the Royals might be involved in some of the highest run totals that we see in Major League Baseball this year, because the lineup is going to hit and the pitching is going to allow other teams to hit. So if you can find somebody else and make 40% of your games watchable as opposed to 20% when Singer's on the mound, that can serve them really well. And
it's not even just that, too. End of games, they had one of the worst bullpens ever, it seemed like. Like it was, I was taking overs too, and it would be 2-1 in the 5th inning, and I have an over under of 8.5. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a loser. 6 runs scored in the 7th, and then the Royals come back and score 4, and they lose 8-7, and it's all in the later innings too. Like even if you get a good Bubich start, even if you get a good Daniel Lynch start, even on that one day you get a good Brad Keller start, the game is still up in the air. And that's the problem with the Royals. No matter how much they hit, they did not address the bullpen. And these signings of, as Foolish Baseball likes to call, the Chad innings eater of Jordan Lyles and Ryan Yarbrough, who is better as like an opener, not as an actual starter. I am worried about the Royals, and I don't know who's. Yeah, I have nothing else to say.
They remind me a lot of the Marlins 2008 2009 Marlins teams that just raked that and had nobody to pitch, like Dan Uggla, Josh Willingham, Hanley Ramirez, like all those guys, and even Miggy before that. Like they always had teams that could hit, couldn't pitch, young talent. Everyone's like, oh wait, if they find some pitchers, and then they never do. Hopefully the Royals do, because this could be a really fun team soon.
Yeah,
They
we're
did.
bagging.
It was just 15 years late. The Marlins.
Yeah. We're bagging on the pitching, but the offense will be good. I'm excited to see Witt. Like Witt had a quote unquote, for all those on YouTube, bad year when he was like 2020, and it's just struggled with the glove, but that'll come. He was switching over from short and third. He'll be totally
dude. He was 20-30.
Yeah, he's
30
awesome.
for 37 in the stolen base.
We just talked about that on the call up too. Funny enough, just like that's his disappointing rookie year.
Yeah.
Like cool, I'll take that.
It's going to be really, really good. And MJ Melendez, they're all going to be good.
Yeah. All right, Aram, AL West.
All right. Well, I get to start with the classic Angels team, which I'm going to say do or die. And I know it feels like every year was do or die, but this year is actually do or die because you have the second year of a new general manager. You have Shohei Ohtani, who has expressed his displeasure with their, losing in the most respectful way possible. If Shohei Ohtani saying he's tired of losing, he's got to be real tired of losing. You have Mike Trout, who's not getting any younger, right? And I look at the moves that they've made, and I like them, right? I like the moves they've made. But if this year falls flat, it won't be because of inaction. It'll be because the moves that Perry Manassian made weren't the right ones, which means there's going to be some questions about the GM. And if there's questions about the GM, you think Shohei Ohtani wants to be there, you're not re-signing him. You're not extending him. Again, Mike Trout, he might not be going anywhere, but he's getting older and older and older. So this is the year for me that they don't need to win the World Series. They don't even really need to be like a first place team, right? But if they can just hang around, maybe sneak in the playoffs, I think that could be enough to show that they're heading in the right direction, and enough for Ohtani to say, hey, I'll re-up with these guys and other players to want to go over there, because there seems to be the desire there. So this is the make or break year, I think, for the direction of the Angels. If they're bad at the deadline, I think they'll be listening on anybody. And I think Ohtani might say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to extend here. They might have to trade him at that point. So this is a very pivotal season for them in terms of what direction they're going.
Can I offer an alternate resolution?
Yeah.
30 plain emoji tweets. I want a full season of Mike Trout traveling.
Yeah. The thing is, I've been on the trade both of them, conspiracy theory hat, tinfoil, because I just think they could get a legit entire team for those two guys if they were decided to trade Mike Trout. I mean, imagine that package, and then imagine the Shohei Ohtani package. You have 2 Juan Soto-esque packages, maybe even more. I mean, that could change the scope of your franchise forever. But instead, they're going to roll with them, and they've made some nice moves. So now they've not handcuffed themselves, because they are going to be good, but they've bought fully in. Like, they signed Tyler Anderson. They've made moves now. You're getting back a healthy Rendon. We might have to be on their over win total again, even though it's not going to hit. But I do like it again.
I'll live and die.
I'll live and die. Screw it. Are we going to be on it when we do our gambling episode? Are we going to be on it? Because we have to make a decision.
I think I'm on it.
And I bet all of those. I bet everything we put out. So we're going to have to be on it.
I'm on it.
All right.
Astros, just keep doing you. Right. I mean, like it's pretty simple here, man. This is a dynasty. Yeah, they lose JV. Isn't it crazy that they lose Justin Verlander, the Cy Young winner, who Hall of Famer, and we're not even really that worried about it, right? They're going to plug Hunter Brown. And I'm not saying he's going to be Justin Verlander, but they're going to plug Hunter Brown in. They're going to have other guys. They're going to have a healthy Lance McCullers, and we're just not really worried about the rotation being a top 8 or 5 rotation in baseball this coming season, even without JV. We know what the team can do on the offensive side of things. I think it could do even more, to be honest. And I like the additions they've made. They've got a healthy Michael Brantley back. Just keep doing you.
I would like them to grab like a depth arm, because Jose Urquidy, I don't think
that's like
should
their
be
6th starter.
Yeah. I mean, for example, like a Cueto who's still out there. I wouldn't mind them just grabbing him. But even if they don't, it won't really matter. But
My question is, are you going to get Johnny Cueto 150 innings this year? I don't think you do, because you've got Valdez, Javier, Brown, McCullers, Luis Garcia. Then you've got Urquidy here as well. Odorizzi's off the team now. He's in Texas.
Yeah.
So my thought on Houston, like, yeah, they just added Jose Abreu. Great. Like, the lineup is awesome again, and Yordan is Yordan. I don't think there should be guys with more confidence on the mound this year than Framber Valdez and Christian Javier. Like, those two should be on top of the world right now.
What about Forrest Whitley?
Ooh, that works. Hey, his delivery is weird as shit. Has it always been that weird?
Yeah.
It looks so, like, I don't want to say bad, but it looks so not
bad.
clean. It's bad. Okay, it looks really bad.
Oakland A's. Have fun. I mean, it's that simple, man. Like, what the hell else are they out there to do? For the fans, look, I'm torn because I think it's good for baseball to have a team in Vegas in terms of money, but I don't like seeing teams relocate. I don't at all. I like seeing more teams pop up. I'm cool with new teams, but I want fans to enjoy it. I remember, again, referencing back to the Florida Marlins, when there was uncertainty about the Marlins Stadium, whether they were going to get one in Miami. I was checking every day in the Sun Sentinel, Miami Herald, to see what the updates were. And I didn't understand the business side of it. I was really young, but I knew that there was a chance that the Florida Marlins could move to another state. And that was like gut-wrenching for me. So I enjoyed every single game, even though they stunk. The last out in the old Marlins Stadium was Logan Morrison. But I'll just remember, every single game, down that stretch there until they locked in the stadium. So for the fans, just enjoy it for what it is. They're going to come in last. They're going to stink. They're going to be horrible. For the players, it's a lot of guys that wouldn't get opportunities elsewhere, right? So they're going to get an opportunity to prove themselves. There's going to be some Joey Meneses type of player emerging here. There's going to be some players that, get to show that they belong in the big leagues. And so just have fun.
I got a soft spot for the Coliseum. Some of my first games there.
Last dive bar.
Yeah, last dive bar. I think it's funny enough, after now living in New York City, Yankee Stadium and Citi Field have surpassed, but I went to Oakland more times than I think I went to Dodger Stadium because that was always a trip I made with my dad. And so even though it's such a dump, I'm always going to love that place. I hope they don't move. Like the fans, even when they're bad, they show up, and when they're good, they show out.
Yeah.
Like this is
blame them for not showing up at the end of last year after all the moves that they made. So
yeah,
I mean, that's just not fair
when we don't know some of the players on their team, when we don't know, that's a disaster.
Photos.
Yeah. Shout out Dermis Garcia. Guy played.
Yeah, played. Good for him.
Seattle Mariners. Jared Kelenic. That's my New Year's resolution for them.
That's the resolution?
That's the New Year's resolution. Because guess what? They traded a lot of their depth there, right? Jesse Winker, gone. Yes, they added Teoscar Hernandez, but Kyle Lewis, gone. I know he wasn't a part of what they were doing last year, but you look at the outfield situation. If Jared Kelenic doesn't hit, they're relying on Cooper Hummel, maybe Dylan Moore, Taylor Trammell, Sam Haggerty. Like, of all those names, there's only one guy that has the potential to be an all-star, and it's Jared Kelenic. What was missing from this team in the postseason? Offense. We don't have any questions about J-Rod, Ty France, Eugenio Suarez, Cal Raleigh, Teoscar, even Colton Wong. The big guy that's going to put them over the top is Jared Kelenic. I don't know what in the world's wrong with this guy over the last couple of years. We know how talented he is. He's still 23. Jared Kelenic is literally the X factor. I don't know if there's a bigger X factor in the major leagues for a team than Jared Kelenic is for the Mariners this coming year.
I think the only one you could argue is Jose Barrios of the Blue Jays.
Yep.
It's very similar. Like they made the playoffs. These two teams played each other, and Kelenic was a nothing burger. Yep. Jose Barrios, a nothing burger. If they're both amazing, these two teams are great. If they both suck again, they're probably not going to get better than they were last year. So I love it. It's a good one.
So Taylor Trammell has been the king of renting places and not buying a home anywhere.
Yeah.
Couple flips of the coin on this. On one, if Jared Kelenic is good, that probably means that Taylor Trammell is looking for a new home. If Kelenic is bad, I think Taylor Trammell should just buy a home in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
So while I would love to see, Taylor Trammell have a mortgage in his name, I think Mariners fans would be happier if Kelenic actually worked out.
Trammell could rent. Like keep buying up houses and just kind of be like an Airbnb guy.
That'd be good. He could be what, like a property flipper.
Yeah.
I know that's how you make passive income. So maybe Taylor Trammell, he might just be the king of passive income in Major League Baseball.
What if he comes out like after his career, he'd be like, I made more money from renting out my houses across the country than playing in Major League Baseball? That'd be sick. That'd be
Man, he's
awesome.
making the income.
Great.
He's
I would
making
love
the
if he like
actor.
vlogged about that.
The new minimum, 700K. I mean, he's bringing it in right now, and he's gonna hang around the big leagues for a while. Good signing bonus guy too.
Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers. So for me, it's actually stay the course because I see the urgency to compete. And I understand that you have a 34-year-old Jacob deGrom that you paid $1 billion. I understand that you just signed Nady Eovaldi. I understand that you have your middle infield that costs $500 million. But this is a team that is heading in the direction for sustainable success. You know, that is building for the present, but also building for the future. We just talked about the Texas Rangers top prospects on the call-up. I would hate to see them, and I don't think they're going to do this, but I would hate to see them, you know, hanging around 500 at the deadline and shipping out Owen White, or, you know, I don't think they trade Jack Leiter because of the way he's become that like prospect face, but shipping out an Owen White and a few other prospects, you know, for a rental or for whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden you're mortgaging the future for the present. And right now with the way that they're trending, I think they could build sustainable success here because a lot of their pieces are going to be good for the next 3, 4, 5 years. DeGrom's the only exception to that. And I think you could still hope that DeGrom's good for 3 years if he stays healthy. So stay the course. I believe in what Chris Young's doing. I hope that they don't let, you know, the taste of competitiveness and the excitement cause them to mortgage the future because I think they're building a decade plus of good baseball here.
And I hope Chris Young was transparent with these guys that they're signing in free agency, that could be the case. Like, hey, we might be a couple games over 500. We might be hanging around in the wild card conversation this year, but you got to trust us. Because if they get overzealous and they jump on that opportunity, then all of a sudden, what you're saying, right? So much of the prospect capital can't pan out to be big league contributors. I guess like, they probably didn't make that promise to somebody like Nate Eovaldi, who was on a 2-year deal, and Andrew Heaney, who's on a 2-year deal. But with DeGrom on a 5-year deal, you got to look him in the eyes and tell him like, hey, year 1 might not be it. Like, we're paying you to be the guy in year 2 and 3 of your contract when we have a young nucleus and you're leading the way. So I hope that was the conversation with this free agent class.
Absolutely.
I agree. It's funny enough too, the Rangers by projected WAR, they're around middle of the pack on offense. And I think Fangraphs is a little bit low on that, but do you guys want to know where they're ranked, their pitching staff this year?
It's gotta be top 3.
No, it's 6th. I mean, it's close, but like if that rotation stays healthy, this could be a really good team.
Well, bullpen probably hinders that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right. Starting rotation alone, I bet they're 2 after the Mets.
They probably are. Yeah, this is pitching WAR
Jose
projected.
Leclerc and Jonathan Hernandez and Brock Burke was great last year.
Brock Burke was great.
Yeah, that's their guy. Brock Burke's their bullpen ace. So yeah, they got some stuff to figure out there.
NL East?
NL East.
New Year's resolutions for the NL East. All right. New York Mets. We'll start with them. World Series or bust, ... forever. As long as Steve Cohen owns the Mets and he puts out payrolls that continue to break records, if Carlos Correa ends up signing on the dotted line, which he hasn't yet, this payroll will be north of $500 million with fees because they have to pay this incredible luxury tax. I think it's projected to be around $384 million plus around another 110 in tax. I mean, that just destroys every other payroll by so much. It's funny, right now, only the Yankees and the Mets are projected to hit the luxury tax. Because the Red Sox, obviously, they stopped paying people. The Giants never ended up paying people. The Dodgers have gotten below it.
The Phillies aren't there.
Yeah, I don't think the Phillies are there right now. They might be approaching the first bar, but I don't think they're there yet. They may end up being
come in at.
Yeah, exactly. ARB numbers, but right now those are the only 2. And if you don't win the World Series, it's a failure. That's how it is. That's 100%. How with the Yankees. That's how it is with the best teams in baseball. Exactly.
First ballot Hall of Fame.
First ballot, yeah, like should be 95+%. Should be pretty much unanimous.
Now
I
we've
feel.
got a couple of shitheads still voting.
Yeah, of course.
And this might be the last year where Max Scherzer is in the top 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball.
No, don't say that. He's going to be 55 years old, and he's going to be a top 5 pitcher.
That's why I said
Could
might.
be
I
one
did
of
not
those.
stamp a flag on this. I said it might because that
This
dude's
is the
a freak
beginning
show.
of the end for Mad Max.
Just
the
like
guy
Max
that
Kellerman
bets
said about
against.
Tom Brady. Like
Yeah.
Max Kellerman and Tom Brady. Oh, this is finally time that he's fallen off a cliff. That was like 6 years ago. So I'm never counting him out, but I'm saying capitalize now.
It's a fair. It's fair to bet on Father Time. Like you want to seize the moment, 100%.
So that's why for the New Year's resolution for the Mets, World Series or bust, not just this year, as
Forever.
long as Steve Cohen owns the Mets.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Atlanta Braves. Will the youngsters repeat? And they had a lot of their great players last year, including like Kyle Wright, who won 20 games, Michael Harris, rookie, there's Spencer Strider. And now they lose Dansby, so you're going to put in Vaughn Grissom. I'm not saying will all of them regress. I actually expect all of them to, again, keep building on it and having great years. But a lot of those guys were very important pieces to this Braves team. So kind of short and sweet because we know they're going to be really good. We know all of those players at least have incredible amounts of talent. Just will they repeat the same amount of success that they did last year? Because a lot of this Braves team is now built around a very young nucleus. Will they show what they did last year? Will Strider build? Will he add a third pitch? Will Michael Harris, he didn't walk all that much last year. He struck out kind of a lot. Will he figure out some plate discipline things? Vaughn Grissom, how will he do it short? Kyle Wright, can he replicate that success when some underlying metrics would say that he might be due for regression next year? Not totally. I still really like Kyle Wright, but there are just some numbers that would say, I don't think he's going to win 20 games again, and I don't think the ERA is going to be as good. So, I think they're going to be great again, but we'll see.
So not a resolution, just a question is how good is the starting rotation actually going to be? Because I look at this starting rotation, I'm like, wow, there aren't very many that are better in Major League Baseball because they're 7 deep right now. Because you've got Fried, Strider, Wright, Morton, and finally, thank the heavens, a healthy Mike Soroka. And then you're hoping for a bounce back from Ian Anderson, who we already know is really good. Like, he's just got to find it again. And then Bryce Elder is a lot better than I think a lot of people around baseball give him credit for.
The best
just
seventh,
diluted.
He's the best 7th pitcher in Major League Baseball.
And Kyle Muller was the best 8 in Major League Baseball, and it wasn't close before he went to Oakland. Like, he's going to be the 2 for Oakland after probably Waldich. Oh, God, that's so bad. But, I mean, like, they were 8 deep. They were 9 deep before Huascar Ynoa had Tommy John in September. So, like, they are just so deep, and they're so good 1 through 8, now 1 through 7. Are 5 of those 7 guys actually going to be really, really good? And I hope for them the answer is yes.
All right, moving on, Arm, unless you have anything left.
No, I agree. It's all on the youngsters for them, and they bet on them financially. So I believe in Harris. Grissom's the big X. We talk about X factors. There's another one. Top 3 X factor right there is Vaughn Grissom, unless they do something else.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies. I think this is a good one. Don't let yourself get hungover. And the reason I say that is the Phillies have to also realize that during the regular season, they were not a juggernaut. Yeah. Like, they made this incredible playoff run and they made it to the World Series and they gave the Astros their all. But don't let yourself hang on that hat and take games off during the regular season. We saw Nick Castellanos. He made a point where he's like, sometimes my focus just wasn't there. Like, the Phillies need all the focus possible, especially because Bryce Harper is not going to be there for what might be until the All-Star break. You add Trey Turner, you add some rotation pieces. You're getting better in the bullpen. This team is primed to make another deep run, but don't hang your hat on, we made it to the World Series. We're better than the Mets. We're better than the Braves, because right now you could still easily finish 3rd and be bounced in the playoffs in round 1. And it could be a kind of
it, right?
Or
like,
not make it.
That's
they barely made it. Like, we'll see.
The hardest part's to make the playoffs, right? Because there's so many good teams like Braves, Mets, Dodgers, Padres. You look at the Cardinals, and there's only so many spots in the National League. So you start slow, you struggle without Harper, it could get away from you quick. So we know how good the Phillies can be, but I agree. You got to stay locked in here and try to win 90 games, because 87 games, you slip a few, all of a sudden you're fighting for a playoff spot again. And, we know what they can do when they get there, but you got to get there.
Yeah. And we see it in the NFL happening right now. Los Angeles Rams, Cincinnati Bengals. You could either follow the Rams model where they won the Super Bowl and then they've been dog shit since, haven't put it together, guys got injured, and they've just had a lost season. Or you could be like the Bengals, maybe a little bit of struggles early on, but ever since like week 4, they've been a machine. Be the Bengals. Be the Bengals. Don't be hungover. Don't be complacent. And I'll believe in you again, Philly, because I do believe in this team. I think they have something. They just got an energy that I'm really starting to love.
We got about 15 minutes, so we'll speed it up and go a little bit more rapid fire. But what I will say real quick on the Phillies is I think they have already drank their Pedialyte by signing Trey Turner. I already think they're not going to be hungover, because Dave Dombrowski saw how fucking close they got, and he was like, I need a $300 million shortstop. And they went and got one.
Then do it. All right, this one will be quick. Miami Marlins, imagine if they had a lineup, because we know the rotation goes 6 or 7 deep. They're all great. They might trade some of them, but it won't even matter because they have depth. They just have nobody who's going to hit. I like the signing of Gene Segura, but I just don't see them competing this year because they didn't invest in the offense. They still could do it. A trade with the Orioles still could be in. But again, like let's say they get Stowers, let's say they get Hayes. Those guys aren't pushing you over the edge. Imagine if they had a lineup.
That's all Mish is saying. Mish has been saying, at the Miami Herald, that they've been talking big bats, and the ball is in Kim Ng's court to make the deal happen. So I'm guessing the price is really high. Kim is nervous. How bad do you want it? Take a chance here. So we'll see what they do.
Joe Adell and Michael Stefanik for Jake Heater and Troy Johnston.
Yeah, I mean that we're not even going to post a graphic of that trade. That's how irrelevant it is. All right. Okay. Washington Nationals, similar to the A's, playing with nothing to lose. You got all your top prospects, just play them. Joey Meneses, really cool story last year. Let's see if he can replicate that success. They're going to be awful, but they could be fun to watch. Abrams is going to be really cool. That's all I got on them.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing
NL Central. What?
NL Central.
NL Central. Let's start with the Cardinals. Don't let starting pitching slip through the cracks. We've had this conversation about starting pitching all the time. There's going to be a chance to upgrade at the deadline. For the love of God, do it. When the Red Sox are in 5th in the AL East and they're trying to flip Corey Kluber, go get Corey Kluber, man. They need to find starting pitching, and I think they will do it because this lineup is World Series ready.
They just have so much depth on offense. Like they have so many guys who they could trade. They just want to hug them so tight. And I know depth is important, but when you have real pieces that you can turn into a big time pitcher that could put you over the top, they're just too chicken shit, honestly. Like their Mozeliak is just chicken shit.
Yeah. You stay in the course, but this is a team that I think they don't need to stay the course. They're at the finish line here.
Yeah.
Push it across and trade anybody not named Jordan Walker. Really, I think that's where I'm at. If it makes sense, right? Don't trade just to trade, but they can make some big time moves.
Right. And I like what they did with Quintana and Jordan Montgomery. Like Quintana and J-Mont are going to spawn again this year. So go do it. Yeah. The Brewers, don't let disappointment in Christian Yelich steal the show this year, because I feel like the conversation that we had about the Milwaukee Brewers after the Hader deal, where it was like, oh, they're not, really competitive right now. So much of the conversation, particularly around the lineup, was about, oh, imagine if Christian Yelich was Christian Yelich right now. And I think they did a great job by getting William Contreras. I think they did a great job by going to get Jesse Winker to try and hedge that. So if Yelich stinks again, don't let that throw your entire season out of whack. And I think they have a contingency plan.
I love that, because I think what it really boils down to at this point is you got to know what you're getting. I think you can hope for a little bit more, but hoping for MVP Yelich at this point is just setting yourself up for disappointment. The last 2 years, I think it was fair to say, okay, can he bounce back? I think at this point can he just be a solid player, which I think he can be, right? He's a 2 to 3 WAR player. That's extremely disappointing from what he was. But I think if you go into the season expecting him to be an MVP candidate, you're going to be disappointed. It's going to take away from what is, I think, a really fun core that they're putting together here in Milwaukee. I agree, Jack.
Cool.
I like it.
Cool. Cubs. Sell those number 7 jerseys like hotcakes. The future is coming. The bats in the outfield are coming. Cody Bellinger is a perfect bridge. The pitching got better with Tyone. I don't know if you want to call Drew Smiley an upgrade, but they've got some pitching depth and they've got more starting pitching prospects coming through. But you have your franchise shortstop. Dansby Swanson is a very attractive individual. He has nice hair. He has nice facial hair. A lot of Cubs fans are going to love Dansby Swanson. A, because he's really good at baseball, and B, because he's super attractive. And what do you do with a super attractive, good baseball player? You sell their jerseys like crazy.
And marketable and pros pro.
Yes.
This is going to be a big over team. Not like the Royals, but this is going to be an over team.
Wind blowing out at Wrigley on a summer day, hammer.
Oh, no, you don't think. You just go, and you will win. Like, it's crazy. These games end 14-13. Doesn't matter who's pitching. Doesn't matter who's in the lineup. If I see 20-mile-an-hour winds, you can look it up. This is just a tip. Go to Wrigley. You can look up the Wrigley. What's it called? It's like, that website? It's like Wrigley winds. Just look it up. And there's this website that tells you if the wind's blowing out. I check it every morning just in case when it's at Wrigley. If it's 15 plus, over. Put it in. It hits every time. It's crazy.
In the butchered words of Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, real winners just act on instinct. They don't think. So, all right, the Reds, reward your fans, please. Like, I'm sure they're running out of patience for you, especially with some of the comments that ownership has made. A lot of these prospects are really, really close. What?
He said, where are you going to go? Basically, where are you going to go? Fans?
Right, exactly. So a lot of these prospects are really, really close. You're going to get your first full season of Spencer Steer. You're going to get your first true season of what the young pitching core can look like with Lodolo, Green, Ashcraft, Williamson, if he has a nice couple of starts in triple to open the season. And then Ellie De La Cruz, man, he's probably going to start the year in triple and he'll be up. So I think that, this is the year to really buy into Reds baseball because you're getting in at the ground floor and you don't have to go through the shit years where you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Rookie of the year betting. First one is going to be Ezekiel Tovar because what am I not going to tail arm? Number 2, Spencer Steer.
For the same reasons as Jonathan India.
Yep.
So many at-bats. They're going to give him run, and there's nobody grittier. He's turning into like my Cal Quantrill as an offensive player in the National League. If I need a walk, he's got me. If I need a double, he's got me. Like, he has his best moments in the big moments, and there's not that many big moments for the Reds, but he's always up and he always delivers. I love him.
You know who I just said on the AL side on the call-up? I think Hunter Brown is my guy that I'm going to push my chips in on AL Rookie of the Year.
I think Steer is like locked to have a good offensive season.
Yeah,
it's really just going to take somebody else going nuclear, but he's the safest bet. I love it. Someone that's going to compete with that is on the D-backs, right? And Corbin Carroll. And do you have another?
Still got the Pirates.
Oh, of course. Call up Jack McMullen to broadcast the big league games.
No, I was going to say double the attendance total because now you've got a full year of O'Neal Cruz. You've got a lot of young, exciting guys that are going to be up. The pitching is going to be more enjoyable now. You get a full year of Roansy Contreras. Andy Rodriguez should not be down in triple for the entire season. You're going to get, Burrows and Priester up there quickly. I think G1 Bay is electric. I think the team is getting younger and more exciting. The attendance total was low last year. Doubling it is still bottom half of the league, but you know what? That's okay.
I hope they don't.
Ryan Hayes.
The reason why
The
reason why I didn't like the Rich Hill signing is I want to see more Luis Ortiz. I think that guy's nasty, and I don't want Rich Hill at 78 taking away his innings. Like, I don't want that. And they have a bunch of these veterans that what are you doing? Throw Luis Ortiz, throw these young guys because they're good and they're nasty and they need run.
They'll trade him for some mid-level prospects halfway through the year and then give their guys the run. But I agree. Like, I want to see the youngsters thrive, and I think they're going to do that. So Pittsburgh's heading in a great direction. Now D-backs time, right?
Yes.
National League West. D-backs. For me, it's embrace being America's team, but I'm going to say shock the world. Shock the world, because I think the D-backs are the team that can shock the world this year. Odds are stacked against them. They'll probably win 82 games, and everyone will be like, whoa, that was exceeded expectations. But
They have this lightning in a bottle potential that no other team has. Talk about a win total over that I'm taking. I'm probably going to take a loan out to do it, because I think if it's where I think it's going to be, which is below 70, crushing it. Love their pitching, love their young talent, love what they got from some of their older guys last year, like Walker, Rojas. I think Ketel Marte can bounce back. This team, we've talked about it, has the goods to shock the world. They're going to play with nothing to lose, and I think they're going to become like America's team for next year.
Kind of like the Mets, World Series or bust for the Diamondbacks this year. But they are
I think
sneaky elite.
I think that starting rotation is really, really good with Gallen, with Kelly, with Jameson, with Ryan Nelson, with Brandon Pfaadt up. I don't want to say Madison Bumgarner's name, but I just said it. So, it could
be really, really, really surprising, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Dodgers finished the mission. The only World Series title they have is the Mickey Mouse 2020 season, which I know Dodgers fans, I talked about it the other episode. Like, you can get mad at me for discrediting it. I'm sorry. Win in 162. Every time it's a 162, they dominate and they get knocked out in the postseason. When there's no fans and it's in random sites and they win the World Series in the Texas Rangers Stadium, when the Texas Rangers aren't playing in it with barely anybody in there, sure. Congratulations. You won that. Let's see you do it in 162. I want to see them finish the drill. That's pretty much the only thing that's missing, because they're one of the best run franchises in baseball.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are a perfect example of how random the playoffs are, because they have the best team every year and just something doesn't go their way. Mookie Betts hitting line drive after line drive. Where's it going? Right into Manny Machado's vacuum. Like, they just are right there, and it's just the ball is not bouncing their way. I'm not on the side of a Mickey Mouse because they're all playing on the same parameters. Like, there was no fan. It's not like there was some fans for some teams and none for others.
No.
Like, they still won a championship and everyone was competing, kind of similar to the bubble in the NBA.
Not as cool of a championship for me.
It's just not as cool, which I think is fair. And I think Dodger fans would agree. It's not as cool. Still counts. Good job. You won.
No, I absolutely count it.
Not as cool. That's fair. Jack, is that fair?
It is fair.
Thank you. Jeff Conine is the biggest proponent of anti-2020 anything, which is really funny, just because of the grind of a 162, which I can understand. But again, you can only play with what's in front of you. San Francisco Giants, stay positive, because look, this season wasn't going to be a good one for them regardless, even with Correa. Even if they signed freaking Aaron Judge, right? They would have been better. Wouldn't have been a playoff team. They made some other moves. They're going to, they're not going to be a disaster to watch. They're more than good enough to take the family to the ballpark and go watch Jock Peterson, Michael Conforto, Mike Yastrzemski and Logan Webb. I'm not disappointed with that, right? But stay positive, because if you get through this season, like Jack said on the last episode, I think they're going to sign their big fish next year, right? I think that's coming through free agency. Devers, Soto, Ohtani, whoever it may be, Machado. Stay positive, get through this year, brighter days ahead.
Yeah, my opinion, I would expect to finish fourth. And if you don't, and you finish higher, view it as a positive.
Jock Peterson season, baby.
Let's go.
Jock.
Padres, manage the egos.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think about here. You got Manny Machado going into a contract year. You got Fernando Tatis, who the team, I would probably think is their patience is run very thin with them. We saw them kind of, air that out. Xander Bogaerts, by all accounts, doesn't seem like the big ego guy, but at the end of the day, he's a $300 million player that you're adding to a team that is already chock full of $300 million players. We've seen some of the dugout blowups in the past. I think this year was really big for them in coming together. I think the Tatis thing kind of brought them together to a degree. But I want to see how they manage the egos here, because there's a lot of personality and a lot of big money on this team, and probably the last year that they're all going to be together. Machado's opting out, and I doubt they pay him. So manage the egos.
This feels very Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
the San Diego Padres feel very Brooklyn Nets.
They're better, but I see what you're saying. I totally see what you're saying.
Harden, Durant, and Kyrie Irving, like,
should
in
be
theory,
the best.
that was incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. The one thing that's been keeping me up at night, because you guys know I love my top 10s, where the hell are we going to rank Tatis? Is he number one? Because, or do we dock him? Like, do we push him out? Is he even on the shortstop rankings? Fernando Tatis Jr.'s rank is keeping me up at night. I don't know what to do with him, because obviously he's one of the best when healthy.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Rockies, I'll be honest, I didn't even have one. I wanted to do this one with you guys. Because Colorado Rockies, I couldn't come up with anything. For me, it's, they draw fans. They've weirdly spent money in some ways. I would say have a clear direction, right? They're tied to Nimmo. They're tied with this. They don't get Nimmo. Then they do nothing. They pay Chris Bryant for whatever reason, which was way more than anybody else would have paid. And then, I just feel like they're kind of just roaming around. We talk about teams that are stuck. This is a team that seems kind of stuck and like is okay with it because they're always going to draw in the top 10, but have a direction. I like what they're building with the farm, so maybe they have a little bit of that, but I want to see some direction at the big league level.
Here's mine. I would say enjoy the extracurriculars. And by enjoy the extracurriculars, I mean get baked and watch the Rockies fool around. Because
that's about all you can do.
Yeah, that's about all you can do.
So
enjoy the extracurriculars that Colorado will give you as marijuana is legal there. Because they are, out of all major league teams, it's not the Nationals, it's not the A's, it's not the Reds, it's not the Pirates. The Rockies have the lowest projected WAR. Wow. Like, Aram, if Ezekiel Tovar doesn't launch this year and Chris Bryant doesn't stay healthy, I mean, this team could lose a lot of games, but at least they have Daniel Bard to close it down when it's 7-2 in the ninth.
Locked up.
I was going to say plan a trip to Connecticut because while Tovar is up, you're going to have Veen, Amador, Bernabel, probably Gabriel Hughes there, Romo. Like, plan a trip to Hartford, Connecticut, and go to a Yard Goats game at Dunkin' Donuts Park.
That's great.
I know Colby Olsen did that last year.
Yeah, he did do that. All right. I'm going to have a stopwatch. You've got 15 seconds to say something sappy about 2022, and then we'll say bye. Fair?
All right, who first?
You are him first. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
I'll do a bunch of small phrases. More growth than I could have ever imagined. More fun than I could have ever imagined. Really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate everybody that has helped us grow and be able to do this for an actual living. And can't wait to spend 2023 with everybody. Legitimately and forever indebted to everyone who listens. Boom.
Here we go. 16 seconds. All right. Me next or Peter next?
You next.
Me next? Okay. We're so stupidly lucky to be able to do this every day. And it's so much fun. And I am living out my baseball dreams right now with you guys. And it's just fun to sit in front of a microphone and talk about baseball and have people that align with us on that. So here's to more of that in 23. Okay, Peter, 3, 2, 1, go.
I love all the listeners of the Just Baseball Show from the bottom of my heart. I came into this with kind of no media background. I just jumped into it. I got to thank from the bottom of my heart again, Jack and Arm. They're the ones who's helped me through this. But if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart.
There we go. And with that, Peter.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy 2023.
Yeah. Talk to you then.